Meeting to order. Welcome commissioners, staff, petitioners, and citizens to the December 14th, 2021 Mishawaka Plan Commission meeting. Introduction of the staff. To my right, we have Krista Hill, Associate Planner. David Spear is the Senior Planner. Carrie Myers, our Secretary. Ken Prince, the City Planner, on my left. And David Bent, our Legal Counsel, over here in a chair. Hello, David. All right. Carrie, would you please call roll?
Yes. Chris Gemrose. Here. Murray Wynn.
Here.
Woody Emmons.
Here.
Chris Nabalski.
Here.
Sam Cressy.
Here.
Nick Triola. Chris Torty.
Here.
Dale Freeman.
Here.
Kathleen White-Gaddich.
Here.
Okay, we were distributed the adoption of the 2022 Rules of Procedure, Meeting Schedule, and Fee Schedule. And we had all of those in our packets that we were able to look at. Is there anything that we would like to discuss, or has there been any major?
There have been no changes to the rules and no changes to the fees, so only the meeting dates obviously are new.
The, for what it's worth, the May the 10th meeting is primary election day,
Okay?
and November the 8th is general election day, just for what it's worth.
Do we need to make some changes now, or just note the changes, or?
We can do either. We probably need to move them. I'm not sure, in the last year, this has not been used as a voting, but I'm not sure we want to hold the meetings on that date. So I would suggest adopting it as is, and we can address those as time moves on.
Okay. That
moved.
makes sense. So we have a motion
Yes, we do.
to adopt
Second.
all three of these, and a second by Dale Freeman.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know whether I heard or not, but on the fees, were those any changes in the fees, or they're just all the
They're-
same?
The same, Woody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so all in favor of adopting the rules of procedure, meeting schedule, and fee schedule, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? That passes unanimously. We'll have an explanation of the rules of procedure, which is on my left and on the screen. We'll first hear a presentation by the petitioner. For each item, we will ask those participating in the room to speak first, followed by those participating online. I did hear some people online. Those who wish to speak in favor of the request will have a turn. Those who wish to speak against the request will have a turn. And if you don't know whether you're speaking for or against and you have questions, I would do it at that point, speaking against the request. Then we'll have the right of rebuttal by the petitioner. And what we'd like to do is to accumulate all the questions so we can have one right of rebuttal by the petitioner and answer all those questions, please. Then we'll have our commission discussion and commission vote. That brings us to the previous minutes were distributed for last month. Were there any corrections or additions to those? Nope. Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Murray? Second? Anybody?
Second.
Second? Sam? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Is there any conflict of interest in any of the items on the agenda tonight by the commissioners? None. Okay, that brings us to the first public hearing.
Mr. President, if I may?
Yep.
We do have two requests for continuances.
Yes.
In case there happens to be somebody online, I would suggest handling those continuances first.
Okay, so good point, and thank you. So we are going to continue these two, Petition 21-21, which is the VFW post seeking to rezone. That is going to be adjusted to the January meeting. And then also the site plan is going to be Site Plan 21-09. That is also going to be moved out as well. So if you're online or you have questions for those two.
And Mr. President, you will need a vote to do that.
Right,
Okay,
right. I just wanted
Okay.
to let them know in case they
course.
wanted to shove off.
great. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So that brings us to the first public hearing, Petition 21-18. A petition submitted by William Sinkovitz seeking to amend the Bremen Highway North Planned Unit Development, 230 Ireland Road, to allow for the continued single-family residential use with a new 3,072 square foot, 20-foot tall accessory structure. Is there somebody here to present, or somebody online on this petition? Hi. Please,
I've never done this.
that's okay. Take your time. We all work for you here, so just tell us your name, your address, and what you want to do.
My name is William Sinkovics. My address is 230 Ireland Road. What I'm trying to do is get it reverted back to residential property because it's part of a planned urban development. And I would like to put up a structure. The dimensions are no larger than 48 wide and 64 feet deep or long, about 20 foot tall, with a 412 pitch on it.
Great. Is there any questions for Mr. Sinkovitz? No questions? Thank you. You can have a seat. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-18, either here or online? Hearing none, is there anybody here or online wishing to speak against petition 21-18? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. And is there any additional information, Mr. Prince?
There's not.
Any questions amongst the commissioners? No clarifications. I will take a motion.
President Torti, make a motion to approve petition 2118 as presented by the petitioner.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great, Dale and Chris. Thank you, Carrie. Would you pull the commissioner?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Nguyen?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nowalski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torti?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitegadge?
Yes.
Great, moving on. That brings us to petition 21-19, a petition submitted by Source USA Realty, Inc. and King's Buffet of Granger, Inc., seeking to amend the University Marketplace Planned Unit Development, 512 West Cleveland Road, to allow a storage facility. Is there somebody here or online to speak on petition 21-19?
Yes, sir. This is Brody Glenn with Centennial American Properties. I'll turn my video on.
Great. Could you please repeat your name and your address one more time for the record?
Yeah, so this is Brody Glenn. My address is 935 South Main Street, Greenville, South Carolina.
Thank you, sir. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your petition?
Yes, sir. So we are. I work with Centennial American Properties. We are a real estate developer out of Greenville, South Carolina, and we're looking to buy this property and do two things. One is have a QSR type restaurant on the front. We don't know who that QSR will be. In the rear of the property, we're looking to do a limited access climate control self-storage facility. That would be 105,000 square feet gross. We are doing these types of storage facilities throughout the country. I was actually chairman of the City of Greenville Planning Commission for a long time. And we knew as we wanted to do these that we needed to get gates off the prototype and do something that felt more like retail. And so as you can see on the front of this plan, or on the south side of the plan there, we actually have a vehicle pull through where you can pull your car actually through the building and the customer will be able to load and unload actually inside the building. The building itself will not resemble what you normally see as storage, but will resemble more of a hotel slash office building type feel. It'll be 3 stories tall.
Great. I do have one quick question. So under the recommendation here, you have staff approval, but there's certainly a lot of information on the usage, frontage, building setbacks, dumpster enclosures, parking, pavement setbacks, landscaping and screening, utilities, stormwater management infrastructure, grease interceptor, lighting, signage, right-of-way, architectural requirements, and some other points. So you're familiar with all of these points, and you agree with them.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with all the points. The only point that we're not super clear on is the traffic and the right turn lane. We produce very little trips as far as the trip generator goes. And so really just need some more clarification about that. We can work with staff on that. But as far as the comments, we don't have any problem with those.
Other questions from the commissioners?
Only one obvious question, does your building have an elevator?
Yes, so yes, sir, it does. So our building's fully sprinkled. We've built these buildings, like I said, throughout the country, and it has an elevator. I'm happy to show you pictures if you'd like to see them.
Well, at this time, I'm not sure that it's necessary. I was just curious if you drive
Yeah.
through and it's multi-story building. I'd hate to have to haul stuff up and down the stairs.
Absolutely. We're trying to make it more convenient and certainly not have an elevator to make it less convenient. So yes, we do. And the elevator is actually on the pull-through, and so you can pull your car into the building, load and unload directly off of that area into the elevator onto the first floor.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Glenn.
Thank you so much.
Is there anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-19? Let me make sure I'm on the right one. Yep, okay. Hearing none, is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak against petition 21-19? Hearing none, that closes the public hearing. Commission discussion? Anybody thoughts?
Do you know who will be using your drive-through restaurant yet?
No, ma'am, we don't. So our intent is to build a storage facility. What we'd like to find is a QSR to go there. And once we start developing, we'll start marketing that, but we do not know who that'll be yet.
Just for clarification, that right turn lane request was when you do a restaurant of any type south of the proposed storage unit.
I assume that was the case and wanted to clarify that. In all honesty, the right turn lane will probably be as valuable as what or cost as much as what the value of the land is. But I think that's probably the better way to do it. And we're happy if we do any type of restaurant, put that right turn lane in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prince, is there any comment on any of this?
No, I believe Mr. Amherst hit it on the nail on the head.
Okay, great. So I will take a motion on.
President,
Yep.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sure. Sorry.
This is a petitioner. Will there be any outside storage or everything contained inside?
So everything is contained inside, and actually there will be no access to individual units from the exterior either. And so everything will be contained inside with all access to individual units being from the interior of the store.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, I will take a motion on petition 21-19.
I motion to approve petition 21-19.
Kathy? Second, anybody?
I'll second that.
Marie Nguyen? Carrie, would you poll the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes,
Murray Nguyen?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes,
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich?
Yes.
and that passes unanimously. That brings us to petition 21-20, a petition submitted by Barak Group LLC seeking to amend the Village at Harrison Creek planned unit development to add 2 single-family homes to the southeast corner of Harrison Road and Beacon Drive. Hello.
Hello. My name's Terry Lang from Lang, Feeney and Associates. Our address is 715 South Michigan Street in South Bend. I represent the petitioners, the Barak Group. The property before you is the parcel located on the screen there right at the corner of 12th and Beacon. It's a parcel that was originally set aside by Portage Realty when they did the development of Revere Wood. It was incorporated into the villages at Harrison Creek's Plan Unit Development Plan, but was retained as part of a parcel that they had. Since the demise of Portage Realty, the Barak Group has picked up the parcel, and we've been working extensively with the planning department and with the engineering department over the last year on what we could, what we couldn't do there. And over the time of the last year here, we've come to the conclusion that the 2 single-family homes are probably the best and use for the area, the least impact for the residential neighborhood. The Barak Group has been the developer of the villa area, of the villas at Revere Wood across the street. They finished that up. They've put in probably over 50 homes in that area right there. So they have a track record with the city of building a good quality home over the last few years here. And this is one of the parcels that they're looking to develop with 2 single-family homes. I know there was lots of talk of multifamily use and multiple homes in there, and it's just not economical for the size of the parcel to be able to do anything. And with the location where it's at there at the corner, that it would be kind of an extreme traffic problem if you did anything more than a couple of single-family homes. One of the developer representatives, Tom, is here also from the Barak Group that can kind of tell you a little bit about, what is being proposed from the perspective of the building portion of it. So I'll turn it over to him for his part then.
Hello, Tom Demeester with the Barak Group, 12455 Adams Road, Granger, Indiana. I presented to you guys a little bit of a presentation of what our plan is, our layout. As Terry spoke, we purchased, or that was part of the purchase of the property that came with the villas there at Revere Wood. Ultimately, we had tried, it's been an ongoing battle or effort for us. Originally, as you could see on page 3 of the handout, our property is highlighted. The piece of parcel next to it on the next page is highlighted. That was originally the land easement there, and it was recorded in error by a scrivener's error with the county. It was listed as Lot 1, owned that. Originally, we had contacted Lot 1 to see if they would want to sell it. We have been maintaining all that property there, and including the easement, since we've owned it, or pretty close to since we've owned it. So when we contacted the first person in Lot 1 and wished to purchase it, we came to an agreement on a selling price. Well, not until closing, until the title company came back. There was an error, like I said, in the recording of it. Come to find out, the property was owned by a company still from Weiss, which was called Lamson Inc., and we had a twofold process to go through. A, we would have to purchase it through Lamson Inc., and B, purchase the association rights from the HOA of Harrison Creek. Like Terry had mentioned, as we looked into this further and dug into it deeper and deeper, it just was not cost effective for us to purchase that and build that density up there. So consequently, we've come to this plan. Our design is two-story, single-family homes, roughly about 1,900 square feet of finished area that we have designed to fit nicely on these 2 lots. Even though they're the same floor plan, they'll be distinctly different by the looks on it, on the outside of it. We'll do some aesthetic changing, siding color, so on and so forth, with that in mind. So it is something that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with our work. We, like Terry alluded to, we do the Revere Wood villas. We also do the expansion of Revere Wood Estates. So the houses that are going up out there, all except for one, we have put up. The current one that has a foundation in it was an individual homeowner that went with another builder. But we have been in the area for a long period of time. We do a quality house, and that's what our hope is to do here on these 2 lots.
I do have a question. So, and the reason you're here, right, is because you've already hit 54 single-family houses, right?
Correct, in the existing PUD of the village of Harrison Creek.
Right.
And I want to just add, too, that I live in village of Harrison Creek, so I wouldn't do anything there to adversely affect anything with my own neighborhood. This is something that I think brings value to a property area there. And we refer to it as the gate because it's like the gatekeeper of Reverewood. You know, it's when you the first drive in on Beacon, it's the first two houses you'd see. So, you know, with that in keeping, that's the quality of a house that we want to put in there. Also, I want to add too, there's a small retention area there, and we've been in contact with Ken and his staff, and there will be some screening put around it as far as landscaping and such to that nature to their specifications. And there'll be some new sidewalks put in on Beacon there also to replace the areas that are bad, along with because we'll have some curb cuts there for approaches and such, so that's where we're at on it.
And that lot 2 that you're proposing is 50 feet across. That's smaller than most of your other lots, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that original lot 1 that's there?
Yes.
That you were trying to buy, that was never going to be a house, right?
No, that, it would have been just added to that parcel.
Okay.
And just, if we could have got, what our original plan was that we had talked about is possibly adding another cul-de-sac to mirror what was there on the village at Harrison Creek. But within conversation with Ken and his team, it just didn't become feasible. There just wasn't enough space there. It just wasn't enough space at all to be able to put any more than really 2 houses there. And still give somebody some yard.
And there's no coming out, obviously, because you don't own that lot, to have the driveway go on that Cedar wood, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The 2 driveways would come on off of
Right off the
Beacon.
Beacon.
Yep.
What other questions are there? Commissioners?
Are there questions from residents at Harrison Creek or just for the parties that are speaking?
No, this is just questions. I'll ask for anybody else to speak in favor and anybody else to speak against, and then you'll have time to chat during those 2 pieces. But right now, the questioning is from the commissioners to the petitioner.
Understood.
Is there any concern with, if you have a retention basin adjacent to that lot, of having a basement?
No. That basin is generally dry. It doesn't retain water. It's mostly dry. There is some storm runoff that goes to it from the road, but generally it's pretty dry because we mow and maintain it. There's just some stretches of the summertime where we get the rainy season where it's hard to get down there with a mower, but it's not standing water.
Okay.
Just soft ground.
No other questions? Thank you, Mr. DeMeester. Is there anybody else here or online that wish to speak in favor of petition 21-20? Not hearing anybody. Is there anybody here in person, and we'll get to the online people next, that would wish to speak against or have questions regarding petition 21-20? Anybody in the room? Oop. Come on up, sir. Yep, up. We do all our speaking at the podium. Please leave your name and address when you start.
Steve Hoffman, 1203 Pioneer Place, and I'm in the village of Harrison Creek. So I guess my biggest question, number one, the retention area, when it rains really bad, it overflows. So that's a big problem right there. And you're looking at the land to begin with, and I don't mind if the house is there, I really don't. So I'm okay with that part. It's just, I think by looking at everything I've looked on online and checking out everything, there has to be some kind of drainage. I'm worried about the 3 houses that are on the right side from Village of Harrison Creek. I'm afraid that their property is going to flood. If they have all that land and they're covering it up, where's the water going to go? Retention pond, if we have really bad rain, it overflows already. So that water's got to go somewhere. So where's it going to go? It's going to go to the other 3 houses. That's my big worry. And I'm not in one of those houses, so. But since I'm the vice of the HOA, I need to talk for them. So that's my biggest thing. And then, will these 2 houses, I guess, they'll be in the HOA on their property, correct? Is that right too, Tom?
Yeah, you know what? We'll accumulate all these questions and
So
they
that's
can
my
come
other
up.
question.
Okay, so
With that-
drainage and the
Yeah,
HOA.
them are my 2 big ones. Besides that, I wouldn't have a problem if everything else was kosher.
Are there any questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next, we have somebody else here in person, so we'll get to the online people next. Hello, welcome, name and address.
My name is Victoria Vakulenko. I'm at 1111 Canoe Landing Court.
I'm Joshua Goldstein. I live at the same address. We're one of the houses that live behind there. We're the one in the middle. That house property right there.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold for 1 second. Did you get both of them?
I did not.
Could we have a
catch
repeat
name
of your,
because
of your name and address?
Did you need spelling?
Just repeat your address. I can get your name from the property
Um,
record.
It's 1111 Canoe Landing Court.
I got that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, thank you.
Please proceed.
So one of our concerns right now is if you look at the map, that line goes right through our fence and through our trees. So we're concerned that there's going to be damage to our trees and to our fence.
I guess we wanted to clarify if that was to scale or not.
What was that question?
If it's to scale, the photos, like where it's cutting in.
Because we don't want our fence damaged and our trees damaged.
Okay, we'll add that to the list of rebuttal questions.
We're also concerned about the water coming back towards our property and possibly flooding our yard and basement.
With some of the other homes that are across the street, like across from the Beacon Street, they're elevated. So we're concerned if there is going to be a change in elevation to the lots behind us.
Yeah, which would cause the water to flow back towards us. We're also, we want to know how far away, I guess the map kind of, we weren't sure if it was to scale, how far away the houses would be by our house. Would they be able to like see into our backyard?
Yep, so I guess clarifying how big the backyards are for the houses and how far away they are from our like fence.
We don't have experience with this, so we wanted to make sure that our utilities wouldn't be damaged during the process of building, including internet. I work from home sometimes, so I don't want any wires cut. Fiber was just installed in our neighborhood, so.
And on the corner of our like front property, that's where a lot of the internet connects to. So we weren't sure if they would be connecting through our yard or I guess, to those houses.
We also wanted to know the hours that they would be building at. We'd prefer that they don't start really early in the morning or on weekends.
We were wondering about how long the project would take to complete.
Yeah, so like noise levels for the construction too, we were concerned about. Was that it?
I think that's it.
That's all our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. We'll get these addressed on the rebuttal. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to speak against petition 21-20? Okay, we'll go to online. Is there anybody online wishing to speak against petition 21-20?
Yeah. Joe Sanders, 1204 Pioneer Place.
Did you get that, Kate? Okay. Thank you. Please proceed.
So I'm actually dialed in via phone. I'm not online, so I don't see exactly what you see, but I am reviewing the map that you mailed out to me. And I have to piggyback on what Steve said in regard to that retention pond. I understand that it's dry a portion of the year. Nonetheless, that is still preventing those houses. I believe my neighbors that just spoke, where they live, is preventing those houses from flooding. And I don't, even looking at your map here, I don't see how you have the actual real estate to build houses with continuing to keep that retention pond there. So I know we hadn't had a large rain like we had, I believe, was it 2018 or 2019? We had that 100-year flood year. Our retention ponds were actually filling up pretty high that year. And I would hate for their basements to flood who live along that property line, and then also my own, me living across Cedarwood Lane from there. That, and then understanding where the driveways will actually be. Like I said, I don't see what you guys see online. I'm just dialed in. You're saying the driveways would be on Beacon, correct?
Yes. Yes, they will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
both driveways are on Beacon on what I'm looking at here.
Okay, so would the houses face west? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I was curious to that because your houses across the street that you guys built, they all face inward. So the houses would face, so they have Beacon addresses. Okay. Yeah, so that's really my largest concern is really that. And then I guess also to piggyback on the other comment, which HOA would they become a part of, those houses?
Yeah, those are things that's on our list of questions to answer in a full rebuttal here.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. So if you can answer those, I don't think that a lot of my neighbors are keen to having this, but based on me speaking with them in passing, my largest concern is that retention pond, and architecturally, we'd like an answer, not just the answer from your developer, that is trying to build here. We would like an actual legitimate answer if that's going to potentially cause runoff to basements along that property line and even across Cedarwood Lane.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate your input. Is there anybody else online wishing to speak against petition 21-20?
Mr. President, we do have letters I need to read into the record.
Okay. No, thank you. Please do.
I apologize, one of these is fairly long, so.
I'll relax.
Okay. The first one has been submitted by a Gary and Cynthia Blair at 1115 Warrington Court. Thank you for the notice of the Brock Group LLC's petition to add 2 single-family homes at the southeast corner of Harrison Road and Beacon Drive. When we moved into our home at 1115 Warrington Court 16 years ago, the complex had been owned by Portage Homes. At that time, Portage told us that the southeast corner of Harrison and Beacon would remain undeveloped to comply with drainage concerns and requirements. We are not able to attend the hearing on December 14th. However, we would appreciate the Planning Commission's consideration with respect to any drainage issues or violations which might occur should this property be excavated and developed. The condos and villas in this neighborhood do have basements and crawl spaces. Thank you for your time and consideration. The next email that was submitted was from a Mary Jester at 1202 Far Pond Circle. This is following up on correspondence she had with our office regarding the flood zone. This is the FEMA flood maps. She identifies that our area is in Zone X according to FEMA, and that is a moderate risk flood zone. Kyle was concerned about the risk of flooding once these houses are built. I assume the Brock Group would follow whatever regulations apply regarding maintaining a retention area for this land. As homeowners, we would just like to know what they are going to do, if they are going to have a retention area, or if it's determined it isn't needed, although I think it is. I attached the map I pulled from FEMA, so that is here. And lastly, we have a letter, email from a Kyle Schweiderman, if I have that pronunciation correct. The letter reads, hello there, I'm Kyle Schweiderman. I'm the property owner of 1117 Canoe Landing Court. I recently got invited to a meeting about a potential build next to my home for tomorrow, the 14th. Unfortunately, I have a prior commitment during that time, so I will not be able to attend. However, I do have some information that I would like to be shared during the meeting. I'm not sure if it is allowed, but I thought I could email you and perhaps someone could share this information on my behalf. Anyway, I've dealt with the Brock Group for the past few years as a member of the HOA board at the villages at Harrison Creek as the property owner of 1117 Canoe Landing Court. I have multiple concerns about a potential build with the Brock Group. First, I'm concerned about a parcel of land whose ownership has been contested over the past few years according to a July 2nd, 2019 St. Joseph County Assessor's GIS map, I was listed as the owner of a strip of land in the potential builds plot. This was recently changed by someone without my knowledge. I'm currently listed as the taxpayer for this lot of land as well. I looked up the assessor's property record for that parcel. One is a PDF and one is online. They don't necessarily all have the same info, but what they do have should match. He then provides the link to the county assessor's property card for that parcel. It looks like there was a poor job of record keeping for this parcel and people are trying to clean up a mess. I would urge that someone should hire a surveyor to come out. It seems like the Barak Group is doing a sloppy job to me. I see missing and inconsistent information across the public records for this parcel. Everything should match and the history should be filled in correctly. Second, even if it does become clear that the Barak Group does own this parcel of land in question, I'm concerned about the Barak Group's record of neglect and poor communication. This causes me not to trust them to take the time needed to build houses of quality and would affect the surrounding home values. As a board member, I had to reach out to the Barak Group multiple times over a series of years for them to start actually maintaining the plot in question, as our HOA was mowing it for years. When the Barak Group tried to purchase the parcel of land in question from me, the process took over a year, and each interaction made it clear that the Barak Group was not prepared. In fact, during one meeting at the title office, the official overseeing the purchase of the parcel made it clear that the Barak Group had not taken the step necessary to purchase the land. When the Barak Group spoke to a concerned homeowners in my subdivision, they did not have any answers for our concerns, questions, and promised to get back to us. They failed to do so and have never reached back out to date. The Barak Group has a history of quickly making homes and then disappearing when anyone has any questions or concerns. I worry that trusting this organization will have homes of poor quality hurt the reputation of this great neighborhood. I hope this is all clear and helps with the committee's decision about what to do with the plot of land. Feel free to respond with any questions, concerns, or follow-ups. And that is all the remonstrance letters submitted, Mr. President.
Thank you for reading those, Mr. Prince. I appreciate that. That brings us to the right of rebuttal by the petitioner. We'll make sure that we hit.
Can I ask one more question first?
Oh, pardon me? What was
Can I
that?
ask one more question first? This is Joe Sanders for 1204 Pioneer Place. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, hold on. Let's go back. So you want to speak against, please state your name and address, and we'll hear your comments then.
Okay, Joe Sanders, 1204 Pioneer Place. In the scenario, the fact retention pond is removed, and knowing that there's probably a number of people in this area of the subdivision that do not have flood insurance, if we had to file a lawsuit, would we file that if our basement did flood? If they remove that, also theoretically, if they remove that retention pond, do we file that with the Barak Group, or who do we file that lawsuit against if that were to happen?
We're not.
That would be a legal question.
Yeah, we're not a legal group here, so that would be something that we should not advise you on.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll get to the right of the rebuttal. Name and address again.
Terry Lang from Lang, Feeney and Associates. Our address is 715 South Michigan Street in South Bend. I represent the petitioners, and I do take offense to the fact that they didn't have a survey done before we started this project. We did survey it, and to address the concerns that some of the neighbors had, I'll go down through the list here with regards to it. Flood Zone X that was referenced earlier is the flood zone for just about every piece of property in the city of Mishawaka, except those along ditches or rivers. That is the least impacted by a flood event. So there is no flood hazard with regards to that. At the very beginning of this process, the Barak Group did a title search to confirm their ownership of this piece of property, and at great expense to them, tracked down where deeds were, how they were recorded, and whose ownership was. And they wouldn't have proceeded with this if the title company wouldn't have guaranteed ownership is in their name from the purchase of the Portage property. With regards to the drainage, it's been brought to our attention as we've been developing this plan that any additional runoff that we are generating from our two homes being developed, we will increase the size of the basin enough to handle that storm water that is being generated by these two homes. That's part of the ordinance that we are required to do and will be doing at this development continues on. I do need to suggest that Victoria and Josh need to have a survey done on their property because what they are claiming is their fence and their trees are not located on their property. From the back of their homes to the rear property line, and I think the planning department can confirm the setback requirement in the villages at Harrison Creek, there's only probably 20 feet behind those homes is the setback. And their fence is about 20 feet over onto the property next door. So that fence and the trees are technically on the Barak group, and we have confirmed that by survey. HOA question was brought up. If this would not be a part of the villages at Harrison Creek HOA, it would probably be incorporated with the villas at Reverewood, which is part of the Barak group's development across the street over there. So they would fall within those guidelines as the developer had just indicated to me. Did I miss anything that was?
Yeah, the cutting of the wires, the building time during the days and those types of things.
Construction.
Construction.
When homes are built, they basically start sunup till whenever they get done with their day. So it could be from 7 o'clock till 5 o'clock generally is what contractors work. Sometimes it's earlier or later, depending upon if they're roofers working with regards to the heat. With material shortages right now, it's hard to say how long it's going to take for a home to get constructed. I've seen houses that have been started a year ago and still aren't finished because of material shortages. So with regards to that, utilities to these two homes will be new utilities that will be brought to them. Hopefully that when the developer of the villages at Harrison Creek had their utilities installed, that they didn't get them over onto this property. We'll do a utility locate as a courtesy to make sure when the basements are being dug and excavations for the sewer and water extension up to them, that we won't be cutting anything that's there. But if it's not in the appropriate easement or something, then it will have to be moved if it is. But at this point in time, we have done a survey of the property, and we'll be doing everything according to the guidelines as required by the City of Mishawaka's Planning Department and with the Engineering Department for the expansion of the basin to handle stormwater management.
And the only other question would be the timeline around these two builds.
That would be a question that Tom will have to answer with regards to their timeline.
Once we would gain approval, we would like to move on them fast as possible. We would probably build both of them simultaneously. As Terry alluded to, right now, if I could give you a definite timeline of a completion of a house, that would be great. Our average house used to take us 3 months to build. Now we're looking upwards of 5 to 6 months just because of there's not the contractors as far as subcontractors, the material shortages, so on and so forth. Our ultimate goal is to complete them as fast as possible. We're not benefiting by having a house sit there half constructed or under construction in any way, shape, or form. So, and to touch base on Kyle's at 1117 Canoe Landing, we were not aware of that easement not being part of the HOA. When we entered in, he is lot one, who we entered into an agreement with to purchase that property. That was one of the letters Mr. Prince read. We actually found out right at the point of where we were going to sign our paperwork to close on this, that our title company that we hired found this error in recording of it. That's when this whole thing kind of fell apart, and it's kind of made us rethink the whole thing of, if we bought that easement, how do we buy that easement? If we go about it, and with Weiss in bankruptcy, there was just not a good way to go to Weiss and purchase that property. There just is not. So it's in our best interest that we ban that, and he had said we had no communication. Like I said, I'm a resident there of the neighborhood. I spoke at the HOA meeting recently at the last one and the one prior to that where we had a special meeting about purchasing this, and I listened to the concerns of everybody because they are my neighbors. One of the concerns were that where are they going to push the snow, because they use that easement for pushing the snow off of that cul-de-sac at the beginning of the neighborhood there. So to me, in some ways, in my mind, everybody wins on this. We develop our parcel, they keep the easement for their usage of the HOA, for the usage of the snow removal, so on and so forth. And then back to the Lot 1, where we have built quality homes for numerous years in the city of Mishawaka. We continue to build quality homes, and we continue to have satisfied customers. We pride ourselves on that. So the essence of his comment about the miscommunication, I'm not 100% sure where that comes from. There was a lot of unknowns in this. I will grant that there was some times where I did not have the correct answers because it changed. It was the ever-changing thing. First, it was Lot 1 went to the property owned by Weeks, but then the HOA's rights entered into it, so then I had to approach 64 residents to get their permission. So it's been a long, drawn-out process. In that long, drawn-out process, this is our design that we've come up with to develop it to a sustainable neighborhood.
Okay, thank you for hitting all the rebuttal points. Are there any questions from the commissioners to the rebuttals that you have on this, or on the rebuttal? I just have one point of clarification. So your original PUD was for 54 homes, and you built 54. And now you want to build 2 more.
The original PUD that Weiss Homes had submitted was for 54 homes. And being this parcel was part of that original PUD, we have to come back and amend the PUD to be able to build 2 new homes there.
Okay. Is there any other questions? I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to now open it up to any council or any commission vote or discussion. Discussion amongst the commissioners. What are we thinking?
My biggest concern would be water issues for surrounding neighbors and making sure that, you know, enough research was done that taking those 2 lots away isn't going to end up with water issues for surrounding homes.
Any other comments from the commissioners only?
The 2 homes that you're building, are they conformed to the other 54 that are there?
They'll be bigger. They're larger. It's a larger 2-story house. There's a mix of ranches. I don't know, Woody, if you're familiar with that area. They're all the same color tan house. There's a layout of probably about 4 different floor plans there. It's some 2 stories, some ranch, some lookout basements type thing there. So to the effect of are they going to be tan in color to that? Probably not. They will look separate. Because these houses actually that we're building would be back to back with the other subdivisions, so it wouldn't even aesthetically look like it's part of that neighborhood.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing no questions, I will take a motion on petition 21-20. Commissioners.
I move that we approve petition 21-20.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? We have a second? Please poll the commissioners.
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Nguyen?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
No.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich?
Yes.
And that passes 1, 2,
8-1.
8-1.
7-1.
7-1.
7-1.
Mr. President, I just want to add, for those who aren't familiar with our procedures, is because it's a change in PUD, that's a change in zoning, so the final vote would go before the council.
Right.
And at their January meeting. And the other thing I want to clarify is that this is only about adding 2 houses. This has nothing to do about drainage. And so they are required to have engineering plans submitted that meet the city engineer's the city's requirements that are administered by the city engineer. So that would occur, assuming they receive that approval from the council, they'd be required to submit those plans at a future date.
Good notes, thank you. Okay, so that brings us to petition 21-2021, a petition submitted by VFW Mishawaka Post 360, seeking to rezone the northeast corner of Jefferson Boulevard and Maplehurst Avenue from R1 single-family residential to R3 multifamily residential district for 8 residential homes. This has been requested to move to the January 11th meeting. Do I have a motion to move that?
Mr. President, as the petitioner is requesting the item to be continued to January 11th meeting on petition 2121, I would move for its approval, sir. Continuance, I'm sorry.
Dale.
Second.
Second, Woody. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? So that is successfully moved. That brings us to Plat 21-14, a request submitted by Cleveland Road Holdings seeking approval of the one-lot Caldera on Cleveland Minor Subdivision. Hi,
Hi, good evening.
welcome.
Thank you.
Name and address.
Yes.
You know the drill.
Mike Huber, Abin Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. And appreciate your consideration of our request this evening. This is a plat to combine 6 existing parcels, totaling about 6.5 acres into one development parcel to accommodate a new multifamily housing development. We brought this before. This wasn't part of the city. We annexed half of this in, half of it wasn't. So we annexed, both of these have been annexed into the city. I think originally when we brought this in, this was going to be developed as an individual single-family townhome, attached townhome development. We're not obviously bringing that kind of a development. I think given the changes in some of the market conditions and some desires to maybe offer some differences in floor plans, the development's going to be developed as a single development, multi-unit, very similar in terms of housing character. But looking through the comments from the engineering department, note 7 included recognition of the wellhead protection area. We're definitely going to make that change. That was just an oversight on our part. Comment 9 referenced the city sanitary sewer. The project's not going to be city sanitary sewer. It's going to be private sanitary sewer. We've also had some discussions with the city engineering department regarding the dedication of the right-of-way for the sidewalk. We have some setback issues potentially with how much right-of-way we have to give there, so we're in the process of kind of revising the driveway and negotiating with the city. It may be an easement, but if we have to dedicate right-of-way, we'll make sure we get that taken care of with the city as well in terms of that. Overall, the comments we received from them were amenable to our clients. So the last comment I want to address is the comments from the planning department on the rear yard setback. It's a 25-foot rear yard setback. We just had it noted wrong on the plat. So those will be all revised, and we appreciate your consideration of our request, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Huber? No questions. Thank you. Anybody online or in person wishing to speak in favor? Anybody online or in person wishing to speak against Plat 21-14?
Yeah, I'd like to speak if I could.
Sure, name and address.
Yeah, my name's David Moore. I represent Granger Community Church, 630 East University Drive. I don't know if I'm for or against. I just have
Okay.
questions about
Sure.
this. How many housing units are going to be in this? Where is the runoff from rainwater, stormwater going to go? And depending on how many people are going to be living here, is there any consideration for widening Cleveland Road because of the increased traffic?
Great, we will answer those. The petitioner will answer those in a rebuttal. Thank you for your questions, Mr. Warr. Is there any questions for him from the commissioners? No? Okay. Is there anybody else online or in person wishing to speak against Petition 21-14? Hearing none, we'll have the right of rebuttal.
The development will have about 80 units in it, so it's a density of about 12 units per acre, which is consistent with what the zoning allows. Stormwater, we're retaining all the stormwater on site. We've got 2 significant stormwater structures that when we see the site plans, I'll point out to those areas where those are. In addition, knowing that we're in the wellhead protection area, those will have pretreatment options in front of them as well, as noted by the engineering and the review of our site plans. In terms of the widening of Cleveland Road, I know we are providing some decel and XL lane entrance, and we're working with the city to make sure that the entrance and the capacity of the lane widths meets the requirements of the city and make sure we're all in a good, safe space. So,
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners on the rebuttal? None? Thank you.
yep, thank you.
Okay, this closes the public hearing. Commission discussion, is there any discussion? Mr. Prince, do you have any additional information?
No, except that I would note that we don't have any immediate plans to widen Cleveland Road as a city. So it would be development-driven if it were to happen.
Discussion items? Anybody else? And I will entertain a motion on 2114.
Mr. President, I move to approve Plat 21-14.
Chris Nabalski,
Second.
Samuel Cressy. Carrie, would you please poll the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes,
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich?
Yes.
and that passes unanimously. Moving along on the schedule, replat 21-03 is next. A request submitted by Kirk and Susan Barron seeking approval of the one-lot Autumn Trails 4th replat.
Good evening.
Hi.
Mike Huber, Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. Our clients own 2 lots in Autumn Trails subdivision. Their desire is to combine those and replat them into one single lot for the construction of their new home.
Any questions for Mr. Huber on this? None, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room or online to speak in favor of replat 21-03? Is there anybody here in person or online wishing to speak against replat 21-03? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commission discussion, any additional information? Hearing none, I will entertain a commission vote.
I move to approve replat 21-03.
Murray Wynn,
Second.
Kathy White-Gaddich. Carrie, would you please poll?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich?
Yes.
Okay, that moves us to, that passes unanimously, and that moves us to site plans. There will be no public hearings for site plans. So site plan 21-08, a request for final site plan approval from Cleveland Road Holdings LLC for an 80-unit multifamily residential townhome development on Cleveland Road west of Fur Road.
Good evening.
Hello, once again.
Mike Huber, Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. We just presented the plat a few seconds ago. This is the site plans for the project. Again, it's an 80-unit multifamily housing spread across 17 different buildings. Represents an investment of about $25 million in new housing. Obviously, you all familiar, we're in a pretty hot and tight housing market right now. We think this is a product that definitely is different than what's in the market right now. We've got a mix of some stacked flats and some townhomes, all in these attached buildings. And I think it'll be a really nice addition to the housing mix, and particularly in that kind of north end of Mishawaka. The character of the building, the design will be a kind of a contemporary design style, contemporary design materials. The developer wishes to, again, as I mentioned previously, to maintain ownership of the project and operate as apartment rentals. And we are continuing to work with the engineering department on resolving the comments related to the sidewalks and the right-of-way, and the rest of the comments were amenable to our clients. So,
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Huber? None, thank you.
No.
Oh, we got one question, sorry.
Yeah.
Woody.
Looking at the drawing of the units in that, I see the bottom part is supposedly brick or stone.
correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it regular brick or is it just laminated brick?
No, I think it's going to be a nice stone product. Yep.
Okay. And then what about the upper level? What kind of, is that siding? Is that aluminum siding? Is it wood?
You know, I haven't received the final architectural elevation or renderings for those pieces, so I'm not 100% sure of the materials that you see, but I think it's more of it looks like it's more of kind of a siding type of a product.
Okay, because my question was, when I look on the back side, on the side, it looks like 4x8 sheeting.
Well, no, so this developer also developed, I don't know if you're familiar, but the Brownstone housing development kind of just in Granger, and he's doing one in the Haven, and it's a more modern kind of take on maybe some vertical siding and some of those pieces. So
Okay, 'cause
it's a
like
very
I say-
modern and contemporary
'cause like
style.
say the back side here, or the side, looked like it was just 4x8 sheets.
Right. No, these are, when this was going to be a single-family development, these are $350,000 to $400,000 townhomes. So, I mean, it's a higher-end material project, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great, no public hearing, so we'll go right to a motion on site plan 21-08. Anybody?
Mr. President, make a motion to approve site plan 21-8 as presented by the petitioner.
Dale, you're busy tonight.
Second.
Second.
It's a Christmas season.
Carrie, would you poll?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitegadich?
Yes.
That brings us to site plan 21-09, a request for final site plan approval of GLC MAP McKinley Trust for a multi-tenant building. This has been requested to move to the January meeting, so I will take a
So moved.
vote on
Second.
this. Murray Wynn, second by Woody. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that moves to the 21-09 will move to January. That brings us to site plan 21-10, a request for final site plan approval from Mervin D. Lung Revocable Trust for 115,000 square feet self-storage facility on Cedar Road, north of Lincolnway. Hello.
Good evening. Greg Sharon with Dan Sharon Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive, South Bend, Indiana. Here tonight requesting final site plan approval for self-storage unit located on Cedar Road, just north of Lincolnway East. The project will consist of 9 separate self-storage buildings. Part of the project is to include an access drive on the north of the property for future development off of Cedar, and then provide connection from existing drive off of Lincolnway that goes next to the property on the south. So there'll be 2 curb cuts off of Lincolnway into the project. And I believe all the comments have been addressed. I think there's still some discussion. We have to talk with the water department to clear some things up, but I believe engineering and all the planning department comments have been addressed, so that if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I also have David Soto here from Atwater Group as developer, if you have any specific questions about the project that he may be able to answer.
Questions, commissioners, on the site plan? No
Is-
question? Whoop, yep, we got one, Murray.
Yeah, is the building on the south end, is that in a climatized?
I believe it, yes.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, there's no public hearing, so I will take a motion on site plan 21-10.
Move to approve.
Murray Wynn,
Second.
Woody Emmons. Carrie, please poll the commissioner.
Yes. Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes,
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitegadich?
Yes.
and that passes unanimously. Any old business, Mr. Prince?
No, Mr. President.
New business?
Yes, at this time, I want to provide the commission with an update regarding staffing. So as a number of you know, earlier this year, the mayor asked me to add capacity essentially to the planning department and to figure out how to do that. my job has really, since I was originally hired with the city, has really changed over time. So between redevelopment, community development, and planning, when I started with the city, there was 12, 13 employees that handled that function. Over that period of time, we were reduced to 7. And the mayor thought it was time that we added a position back and figure out how to do that. We needed capacity very specifically for larger projects. In addition to our construction projects, managing the new construction down at Buter Park, the City Hall project, a lot of the TIF projects and juggling funds. And so where I thought the best avenue was to go was to move some of the current planning responsibilities that I currently have on. And so what was ultimately approved through the mayor and the city council was my position would be reclassified to executive director. Derek's position would be reclassified to city planner. And Krista's position would be reclassified to senior planner based on the levels of experience. We are currently in the process of interviewing for a new associate planner to essentially replace Krista's position. So every year you go to reappoint staff. We would like you to reappoint the structure, as I have noted here this evening. And in January, I will still attend meetings on occasion, but Derek will be sitting in this seat and will be fulfilling the position of city planner for you. He is very capable in many ways, better than I, so I'm not worried about the staff and support you'll receive. But again, you'll see me, particularly as we get through the construction projects, my plan is to work on updates to the comprehensive plan and amendments to the zoning ordinance as well, which are also long overdue. So that is to provide you an update and also ask for your official approval. In my tenure here, I'm not sure what we would do if you did not approve it, given the intricacies of hiring and removing people, but we are asking for your blessing essentially for that restructuring.
Is there any questions from the commissioners on this? Any clarification we need? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. And then lastly, just thank you for your service this year. Wishing you a very happy holiday, and note that if you haven't received your check, it should be processed shortly.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
And I have one other piece of new business. Murray Wynn had blessed us all with some homemade candy, and this is all from Murray.
Thank you, Murray.
Nice.
And I've already ate some of it, so thank you for that.
And he's still alive.
I'm still alive. I started to get a little tired during the meeting, but that brings us to privilege of the floor. Does anybody else have anything else outside of the agenda items today? Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting.